This episode of Super Pulp Science is brought to you by Clouded Apparel, my clothing brand. So, Clouded Apparel, CLOUDEAD apparel.com.
Attention, citizens. It's time for Super Pulp Science.
This is Super Pulp Science, where we talk about how genre gets made. Justin is gone to pay for parking, so he will join us momentarily. But our special guest today is Edreen.
Hi.
A man who needs no introduction, but
definitely needs plenty of introduction.
All right, so tell our listeners.
Oh, right, I'm supposed to do that.
Who you are and what you do.
Hi, I'm Edreen. Also a con artist in more ways than one.
Oh my God, that's hurtful.
And I have my fan art brand, which is called Paper Beats Rock, and then my original line of clothing and original work, which is called Clouded, DEAD. But yeah, that's me.
Okay, so we're just going to jump right into it. You do fan art at shows, right? You sell prints.
I do.
Posters,
Yes.
all kinds of stuff like that.
All the things that are synonymous to paper.
That's right.
Yes.
And then you have a clothing line of your own. Tell me about that. Tell us about that.
Barely. It sounds like it's way more than it is, but it's just something I started because I personally like a lot of streetwear and fashion in that way, and I just wanted an excuse to make clothes that I would wear, so I didn't have to buy as much anymore.
So now you buy them by the hundreds instead of just
exactly.
one for yourself.
And then make a little bit of money, hopefully. Right. But it's more of a passion project at the moment, but hopefully something that becomes way more for sure. And the response seems pretty good. It's pretty fresh still. It was like in its infancy, like super like fetus stages. The last time I was on this podcast, I was on this podcast once before.
That's right. Shout out. We'll link.
Shout out to me.
For listeners, we'll link to the new episode somehow on our social medias, or this episode to the last episode, so you guys can see how Edreen has evolved mightily in these many months.
That's what they say. That's what Greg says.
It is what we say.
It's very sweet.
One of the things that people talk about in the should I do fan art conversation, or I should say one of my favorite facets of it is characterized this way, that fan art is like when a band is starting out, they do covers.
Yes.
Right? Until they have the confidence and the reach to do their own material. Then they hit the road with their own material that way. You're kind of doing both things. You've got your cover band and then your side band both at the same venue. You like open for yourself.
I guess so. I'm just a narcissist that way, apparently. I can own the only one that's good enough to open for me is me. That's your new slugline. Apparently, yeah. I'm gonna put that everywhere, and people will love it for me because it's me, right? Double. But actually, that thought process. I remember you mentioning that before, whether it was on the podcast before or just us talking at one point or another. But that's kind of exactly how I thought, even when I first began. It just happens that I still love doing fan art because I'm a fan first. I like to say that a lot, and it's very true, and I like to keep it very true in that way. So I when I do fan art, it's stuff that I personally love always, and I put so much more work into it as opposed to when I was younger and earlier, where it was more like get as much out there just so I can be seen. And same thing, right. It was like covers, and then it became, once I had a big enough, not even a following, but I was doing well enough at conventions to make a living off of, I was like, oh, that's my alarm clock. Or not. Oh, that's
Justin's alarm clock. In his absence, we are now manhandling his personal electronic device.
Yeah. Oh, what's that? No, I'm just kidding. But from that, when it started feeling more stable, I was like, okay, maybe I can try to dabble into original stuff, because I've always admired people who've done original stuff. Greg is definitely one of the people for sure, even early on, and a couple other artists and friends that I've met, and it is always super baffling. I think one of my first conversations with Greg, or my first convention, I asked you, and you probably don't remember this, but I asked you how do you even do original stuff at all? How does the ideas even come to mind? Because it just didn't make sense to me at all. And fast forward a few years later, kind of found my own ropes, I guess, and
Found
just
your own voice?
Yeah, my own voice, and kind of figured it out.
One thing I observe with a lot of people who get into fan art and stay in it in the convention scene for a few years is that if they're doing fan art of any sort, it becomes more and more niche to their interests.
Yeah,
right?
for
so
sure.
it goes from being, oh, this is what I think people would like, to like, I don't care what people like anymore.
Yeah.
I'm a super otaku fan of this specific thing, and that's what I make fan
I think
art
that's
now.
and I think it's a great thing.
Right.
Like I love that so much. Obviously, like that's not every artist, I think, and there's no shade to either or. But personally, I know I've always wanted to do things I liked, just because I knew I could put way more work into it. You know, I'd put more passion into it, as opposed to doing things that people might like and things I don't know. You know, I felt like I was, as a fan, I felt like I was cheating other fans in a way.
Yeah.
And I don't have any like ill will to people who do just draw things because they think it'll do well, or they're like riding the hype train and all that. Go for it.
Ill will.
Justin's
will.
back.
Oh, whoa.
Whoa, from out of nowhere.
He was
Must
actually
be-
here the whole time.
close
Just didn't want to talk.
He was just sitting silently, staring, glowering at us.
Justin's just a great listener. All right. Yeah.
So we've been talking about you the whole time you were gone.
Just like last podcast, trying to keep true.
No, we haven't. We actually haven't brought you up really, except when your alarm went off.
Yeah.
Oh,
and we
yeah,
had to
that
turn
was
it
to
off.
pay my parking.
Yeah.
Ah.
We told all our listeners that you had gone to pay for parking. So
Yeah.
Dan may have to edit around this, or maybe he won't. No, he's shaking no.
God, no.
It's
That'll be
staying.
fine.
So here's the conversation. In summary, so far, for Justin's sake, you arrive at shows, you start doing fan art, your fan art starts to evolve to become more niche, more specific to only your own interests rather than what people like. Edreen's also branched off and started a clothing line and begun a number of projects that are completely self-directed. He treats shows like concerts, but he opens for himself.
Sure. That's what Greg said about
How's
me.
the clothing thing been going?
I was saying earlier, it is much more of a passion project in a lot of ways, but it's been going pretty great. Like, I think because it's original work and it's because it's clothing and it's a much higher markup in price, like compared to a print that could be 10 to 20 bucks, right?
Yeah.
A sweater is like 50 to 60 bucks. The fact that whenever anyone buys it, I don't make as much money from it, but the fact that anyone buys it is like means so much more, like way more. And I'm like, and that feeling alone is kind of a high that I've been riding off.
Well, because what you're doing is you're creating the feeling of nostalgia that we carry that makes fan art work. You're creating the seed of that for the first time in somebody when they pick up an original work.
Yeah, I guess so. And I'm still trying to like, I guess I'm still figuring it out and like realizing that even more so. I'm like coming into understanding that's what's happening, and it's pretty great from that. And like the reception's been pretty great. You know, I don't have like super high standards, and I need to sell this many units or whatever. The fact that I sell this many at this show or whatever have been, it's been pretty great. Enough for me to like want to keep going, and people seem to want more, and they ask on their own accord, which is pretty insane.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways.
It's a great feeling when someone sees something that you've done, remembers what you did, and wants only that thing.
Yeah, like the funnest thing. Sorry, I think
No, go ahead.
it, but the funnest thing is like when people see my original stuff and my fan art stuff. A lot of people think they're separate people. One, which is great, and I do love that because I want it to be its own thing. And two, when people, I remember clearly one time someone said, "Is it an insult if I say I like your original stuff more than your fan stuff?" And I was like, you know what? No, I love that way more. And I'm so happy that you said that. It's like the biggest compliment you could have gave me, if anything, because that speaks more true to who I am.
Timber, his arms wide.
Justin and I have different portfolios. Like my portfolio is more like 80% originals and 20% fan art, and his is sort of 80% either fan or licensed work, stuff you've done for companies, and then 20% originals. But both of us use the recognizable property as a flag at the shows, right? We put
For
up
sure.
a thing people will recognize.
Yeah.
Someone will come up and they'll say, "Oh, the thing, oh, isn't that from Pan's Labyrinth?" Right, stuff that we were allowed to do. And then yes, but I also have all this other stuff that I made. And when they walk, for me, the big victory is when they walk away from the booth having bought no fan art at all.
Yeah.
and only original stuff, because what they were connecting to was the style and the composition and not the content. And Justin, you should see Justin's face lights up. He might sell 100 of one print over the course of like 5 days of a show. But then if two people get super excited about a piece of original work, he like pushes out of the way. It's like, oh, you like this one?
Oh wow. Everyone else leave, please.
Yeah. You're a special customer. So
I feel that, like, I understand that completely. I feel that in so many ways. It's just, I don't know. There's something about it. I guess we were talking about. I feel like we're just reiterating that.
Well, the thing about it is our egos.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right, deep down. I mean, let's just.
That's true.
Right. What you like is the idea that you yourself as an individual can influence somebody's emotions, their thoughts, their desires.
Yeah.
Through some outpouring of your own emotions, thoughts, and desires.
I think there's an element to it as well that, like, walking through a Comic-Con floor, there's quite a bit of fan art in Artist Alley, right? So when somebody sees a booth that has only original art, a bit of them is going like, I just am not familiar with that fandom. Like, whatever, like, I don't know what it's from.
It's
so it's probably from a show or a movie or a book series that I don't know. So I'm not going to stop and take a look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
although sometimes what happens, like with the Minus Institute posters, which is from a graphic novel that I'm working on, and I have a whole bunch of posters related to it for the dear listeners' sake, people will stop and ponder, and then I'll hear the conversation like, oh, I think it might be from this. Oh, maybe it's from that. Oh,
Yeah, there's always that
right?
one
They're not
nerd
sure.
who needs to school his friends like, oh, that's from
Well,
this.
actually.
Yeah. The well actually guys. And so the well actually guys get stuck because I've spent a lot of time compositionally to make it look like
Something else. Yeah.
like cohesive. There's 10 or
Right.
15 images that are all clearly from something, but the something's not out yet.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
they
yeah.
don't know.
I had a group of people. I was just at a convention at a small town, Brandon, nearby.
Shout out to
last week.
BrandCon.
Shout out to BrandCon. It was a great show.
What? That's a thing.
There was a family there that, is familiar with pop culture but not too well versed, and they got everything wrong that they tried to guess at in the portfolio. I started out like trying to help them, like, oh, that's actually from this movie.
Right.
But then I stopped because it was so entertaining how bad, and like Lord of the Rings, they weren't familiar with that. They didn't know like any of the like even I think they got Darth Vader right, but then they AT-AT, they didn't know what that was from, and like it was comical because they kept trying so hard, but they didn't know what anything was. They were great.
You're way nicer than me, because I see people struggle, and I'm like, and they look at me like help, and I'm like, no, I'll let you struggle for a little bit longer before. Just keep going.
Well,
Let
I
me
do
see.
that too.
Yeah.
I wonder
That's
though,
hilarious.
it's like, so you arrive at a table and you don't know what anything is, and you're new to shows. We see a lot of people who are new to shows. Like,
First time here.
First
it's
time
crazy.
here. That's the amazing
I'm like, how's
thing.
that possible?
And they want a guide, right?
Mm-hmm.
They want somebody to go through the whole show and like, this is that, and this is that,
And we
this is
see that a lot
They
too.
wanna
There's like the
discover
new
it
people
too.
with that
With the
veteran
one
friend.
yeah.
But I think the secret for the dear listener who's maybe nervous about approaching people and saying, what is this? Is even us vendors could not possibly know every fandom that's at the show. We have we start to learn it after a while, even ones you don't connect with or don't watch yourself, you learn what they are. But there are hundreds of fandoms where cosplay will go by, and it is a top. I can tell the cosplay is perfect because the number of people who are like hounding them for the photo.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is.
Yeah, for sure.
At all.
For sure. And then like,
And that's
then you find out
okay.
later.
It's okay
yeah,
not to know.
It's totally okay. The thing is,
Not everyone is like Edreen and Justin. They won't all shame you from behind their booth, is what I'm getting at.
but so much more fun. No, but the thing is, like, especially in the Comic-Con space, I like to tell people who are new or customers or whatever, is like, it's the best thing about being in a con space is that when you go in, you automatically have something in common with somebody. It doesn't matter. It could be like one fandom out of the hundreds of thousands that are out there, but it's one thing, and there's going to be like maybe 100 people who are into that right away, and like
That's where they go to meet.
yeah, exactly. And like asking about anything, because I've asked cosplayers and stuff, I'm like, do you get offended if people ask you where you're from? And for the most part, they're not. They say no.
Unless they're dressed as Superman, I guess.
Yeah, and that's silly. And they're just trying to be,
Yeah.
But other than that, like for the most part, people just want to geek out about the fandom that they're passionate about. And that, like myself included, and we're talking about going back to you end up drawing more niche things the longer you kind of do the convention thing. And from that itself, it's because you love it yourself, and you get such a better, in my opinion, a better reaction, because like the people who are also into that niche thing don't see that a lot, and then when they see it, they're like, "Oh my God, it's this thing!"
Well, and
whoa,
there's this wonderful idiosyncratic social groups that grow around fandom. There are fans not just of Star Trek, for example, but there are fans of specific fandoms around specific single episodes.
Yeah.
Right? I'm looking at you, Darmok and Jalad. Right? Like entire episodes where people who are not Star Trek fans will only watch that one episode, and it's their own, and they have like...
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yes, there are Facebook groups all around certain episodes because of an issue that is... it might be a political issue, or it might be a societal issue, or something that has reached it. So
what's that episode for you?
For me? It's for sure Darmok and Jalad. That's why I brought it up.
Okay, yeah, what? I'm not
It's the episode where Picard goes on a planet. He and another alien race that he cannot speak the same language. They speak only
that was
in metaphor.
A great episode.
Right? Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra.
Yeah.
They go to this planet, and they're in a hostile situation together, and the outside danger speeds up their ability to learn each other's language and to communicate, even though it's a completely alien situation.
That's cool.
Right?
Yeah.
And by the end of the episode, you, the viewer, Picard, the character, are fluent in this other language, and it's only been an hour.
That's pretty cool.
Right?
Yeah,
and
that's
this
super
idea,
cool.
a lot of linguistic study university courses use this episode as a way of saying, like, it doesn't take as long as you think to reach an ability to communicate people. And maybe this is a good metaphorical episode about a metaphorical episode. In fandom, right, it doesn't take as long as you think to communicate with people about something that a second ago you had no idea about.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the biggest heartwarming parts of conventions, is how people will make lasting friends from shows, having met and bonded over this one very specific element of fandom.
Yeah.
Right. That's where it reaches beyond this idea of entertainment into some other
For sure.
cultural phenomenon.
Yeah. It's like that question of like, what is the point of art, essentially?
Yeah.
And it's that, right? Like I heard one person say, and I kind of feel it is, and it's very simple, but like, what's the point of art? It's a conversation starter. And that alone branches out to everything else that art is. And, in the literati world of artistic opinion, I guess, there's this idea that if you make art for the sake of entertainment, it loses some of its artistic integrity, right,
because it's just there to entertain. And yet when I see the longitudinal study of fandom here, right, people are connecting with something that is purely entertainment, and then connecting with other real human beings based on their shared love of this one particular icon or image, which is no different than people walking into a gallery space, seeing a painting on the wall, standing there for hours, and then meeting the person standing beside them that has been attracted to that same painting for their whole life. Right? It's just, art is entertainment, no matter how.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right? Sure. Because entertainment is just your distraction from the real of your life. Right?
Yeah.
Just the thing that puts a pause on those things.
Darmok and Jalad. You want to fight with me? Is that it?
So you've got clothing, you've got different print sizes, and you're continuously pumping out new work.
Yeah.
At what point do you start retiring work, and how do you decide what gets retired, and does it ever come back?
How many pieces of the portfolio?
Ask you guys about that. No.
Yeah, we have a system.
You guys do have a system.
Well,
I'd like to hear your system.
Constantly evolving.
Yeah.
Right now, when I walked into the studio, they are doing some cleaning, and I've literally been spending the last week or so cleaning, specifically for that reason, where I have like a bunch of old prints that just don't sell anymore, and I think it just gets to a point where I'm not happy with the work, and it doesn't feel cohesive with my newer stuff as well.
Doesn't represent you.
Yeah,
right?
anymore. Like there's some prints that I definitely will keep, I guess, because they're still popular. But there's almost a part of me that's like, I kind of want to redo them and how I am now because it's been so long. And like now I'm getting to that point. It really is just like if it's not selling as well at conventions, from that alone, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start cutting this out. Especially 'cause a lot of those are ones that I felt like I used to just kind of push out because it was kind of popular at the time.
So I think for the dear listener here, I think that we could do an interesting cross section. You name 3 of the subjects of your top selling prints. Justin, you do the same thing, and I'll do the same thing, and the listener will realize how different that
Yeah,
is.
very different.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
What are the fandoms that your best-selling fan art are from?
It's all the newer stuff right now, I guess. JoJo 1, Full Metal.
Okay, do the whole. I know what you mean when you say Full Metal and JoJo.
Full Metal Alchemist. But they're mainly like my newer prints. I think that's also
Full Metal is doing.
I think it's because of like the newer print and style, but it is also very like it's still
Nostalgia.
popular. I love that show, and you love that show. I know,
Yeah,
I've seen your
but
stuff.
I've
I
had
love
a Full Metal piece for a very long time, and it's dying down. It's probably because people have seen it so much.
Okay,
so-
but hold on, JoJo, Full Metal, and
it. I don't know. I'm gonna just say Kingdom Hearts
and Kingdom Hearts. All right,
Sure.
now your 3 bestsellers of the past year, say.
Gundams. I have like 16 different Gundam pieces. So normally, if somebody's buying like 3 or more prints from my table, there's a Gundam.
There's a Gundam
in
in there somewhere.
there.
Or if you really want to make him angry, you walk by and you shout out, "Oh, those Voltrons look great!"
Oh, dope. Yeah. Aren't those from Pacific Rim?
Yeah.
Yeah. Recently did a Harry Potter piece with almost like a scene from every book or every movie, and the Horcrux is all hidden in there. So that one's been one of my top sellers.
Actually, it's one of my favorite pieces you've ever done also.
And I've got another piece like in the same style coming up, but based around Final Fantasy VII. So I'm even more excited about
See, and
that
that's
one.
niche for you because
it's
you've
exciting.
loved Final Fantasy like these
I was
many
like, I
years.
lost like
It's really
grade
hyped right
6
now,
to
too,
that
though. There's a
game.
remix coming out.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
And so yeah, perfect timing.
Okay, so yours.
Oh wait, I haven't
Oh yeah,
listed
one
my
more.
third
Your
yet.
third one.
Yeah. Oh my God, Justin. You know, last time we talked all about Justin. We're trying to cut it down.
That's
you know,
true.
even
Cut it
though-
down a bit.
I have 4 different Lord of the Rings pieces, and so also like playing on nostalgia, and I think they're good like big versus small pieces. So normally somebody grabs one of the Lord of the Rings pieces.
You also, but your Lord of the Rings pieces also stand out. I mean, your towers, for example, as I don't see that anywhere, right? If I want to buy either of the 2 towers as a really iconic print with all these tiny little hard to find elements from the story in it, they don't exist anywhere except at your table. Like why I think those are standing out is because they stand out. And there's a fair amount of Lord of the Rings art. My tops are Carmilla, which is like an old vampire story.
Yes, I know this. Yeah, sure.
Dracula, Frankenstein,
Sick.
and edging up into my top 4 is one that I thought there'd be no way it could happen because it was so niche. My Day of the Triffids piece.
Really?
Right?
Wow.
No, none of these.
Right? But this is so the point I'm making is that where I dig deep into fan art is classic literature.
Yeah,
where
yeah.
you dig deep into fan art is anime,
Gaming,
right?
stuff like
Gaming
that.
stuff.
I should
right?
say one of my most popular prints that I just remembered is The Office. I just made one. Yeah, and
The
that's been
Office.
killing it. Yeah,
Wow.
and I love that show. So
See, so
yeah.
Well, for example, like some of my most populars in the past, when I did Samurai Jack, I thought
yeah, that's
nobody
so-
would ever
so good.
like it was a really great cartoon, but not a lot of I didn't think a
pretty
lot
niche,
of people liked it.
yeah.
And I'd
Because
never
it got
seen
canceled.
I'd never seen anybody like do art on it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when I did it was my top seller for years, and it still does well. And same with Secret of Nim. I did Secret of Nim because I loved that movie. Didn't think it'd sell at all, and it either like kills it or like doesn't really sell at all. Like it's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
very like hot or cold.
Well, so then
piece.
that comes around back to your question of how do you figure out what to keep or what to get rid of?
Oh, I wanted to mention is like, so I've ran into this where pieces stopped selling, so I retired a whole bunch of stuff, and it got to the point where now I have 2 completely different portfolios. I have my new portfolio, and I have enough old stuff to facilitate an entire other portfolio.
He means like for the dear listener, an actual portfolio book with like
which 65
pages.
So I have
of art.
65 pages of old work and 65 pages of new work, kind of thing. So at a couple of shows, I had 2 tables, one with my retired artwork, one with my new artwork. Just because I still had prints laying around, I didn't want to throw them out or anything like that.
And it seemed like a good experiment.
And a good experiment. And these retired pieces, a lot of them had been retired for like 2 to 3 years, some 4. Like some I hadn't brought out for a very long time.
Because you've been doing this 10 years now.
Yeah, this is 10 years I've been doing this.
Yeah, happy anniversary, man.
Yeah, thanks. The last couple of shows, because I've been able to drive, I've been able to bring more work than usual. So I put on the table a new portfolio and an old portfolio, and it has been kind of stunning the amount of people going into that old portfolio and buying work that had been dead sellers for years. Now that the people are being introduced to them again, it's the nostalgia. It's nostalgia kicking in. They don't know it's old work. It still has my same style enough that
and
it's
some
cohesive.
of them can tell, I'm sure, that it's old work. But if you're a fan, like, I'm a fan of Jack Kirby. Yeah. I love Jack Kirby's early work on the romance comics just as much as I love his Fantastic Four. Right. Even though when you look at it, one is clearly superior storytelling, right? His later work is better. But what you see in decoding the origins of the artist you love are in that old work. And I think you've been around long enough, Justin, you're so old and withered as an artist that there's the people who have connected with your work want to see where it started, want to see some of that, and to put those pieces in their collection, which is, a wild thing to imagine people collect your work.
Yeah, it's insane. I still am kind of baffled when people tell me, they're like, oh, I bought your stuff before, which is great. And then they're like, yeah, it's still on my wall. I'm like, right, people put my stuff on
their
walls. And they're like, I'm going to get it framed and stuff. I'm like, oh, right, they frame it? Like, that's so much effort for this piece of paper. Jeez. I'm like, I wouldn't do that for my own stuff. But it's just, it's so humbling, I guess, in a lot of ways, to when you really realize that's happening, and it's just an insane feeling. Especially like the older work too. Like sometimes one of my best selling prints still is this Pokemon Avatar mashup. And it's like literally one of my first prints I've ever made, and I still sell it, and it's still one of the best sellers at shows I don't go to or like are newer, because everyone else who's bought it like has it, who wants it has it. But sometimes I'm like, oh man, did I peak on my first show? I haven't made anything better than this, apparently.
Well, you did that with a Final Fantasy piece.
I had Final Fantasy VII I Will Never Be a Memory piece that I did in a lunch hour, and it dominated my sales and it got spread around the
stolen by more t-shirt and
if you look up
sites.
Final Fantasy VII wallpapers, it's like the 4th image that comes up on Google search, which is really cool. But for a while it was almost irritating. I would spend dozens of hours on paintings, but nobody would care about those. It was like that 1 hour silhouette piece that people killed for. Yeah, that's fun.
So
I think the point is, you don't know, you can't predict, you need to just keep working.
Yes.
And things are going to happen.
Forgive the intrusion, Captain, but I need some answers.
If fan art, if we establish the working premise that art evolves, right, and the way in which we are giving it a chance to live in our portfolios is how well it's doing at shows, right? Do you think then that there is a chance that you will create in your art practice an evolutionary dead end by following the money rather than following
your heart?
Well, not your heart, but the way that a style evolves is different. Like, for example, if I were to have said this Dracula piece I did, which was also a very simple composition that people just seem to love, like from literary professors to 14-year-olds that had never read it, they just really connected with them. I could have said, man, I should do a ton of simple silhouette pieces. And that would have limited the place I am now as an artist.
So that's true if you only concentrate on what you're doing. But at a convention, you're surrounded by people who have figured things out in a better, more effective, more talented way than what you've done. So if you take in what everybody else is doing and steal little snippets here and there and integrate that, I think you'll always grow. But if you're just have the blinders on and only look at your table, then yes. But I think it's hard to do that at a convention, not be aware, oh my God, this guy, I've never seen him before, but everybody's going to his booth. What is he doing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
or she doing
sure.
that I'm not doing?
My favorite thing about those people at shows is when you look past the crowd and they are as surprised as you are at their, like, they
What
don't,
is going on?
Yeah, they don't know what happened. They just brought their stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
How
people
did you
love
do
it.
that?
And a crowd forms and they don't even know how to interact with more than one person at a time,
Yeah.
or how to meet the demand. And they're just overwhelmed with this, like, you know, flood of love and support. It's not even, in those moments, I see how it's not at all about the money, because they are just completely shocked that anyone cared about all the labor they had just done for years to make this work. And wow, they like it. But you can very quickly be turned by the money, you know? We say a lot at the studio here that money doesn't change people, it reveals them.
I think that's super true. Yeah. Oh, great. That's a great quote. Yeah.
Right.
I do, like, I've always been a strong advocator personally of, like, as long as you work at something you love it enough, you'll make money regardless eventually, whether it becomes a full-time thing or not. And so when you start chasing the money, I feel like you slowly lose yourself a bit in a way. So then, like, you might make, who knows, X amount of money, whatever you want, but that it's never gonna end in terms of, like, how much more do you want in terms of money, and it's just gonna this never-ending cycle, and you get trapped into that rut of that, maybe that one style, like, silhouette. I also have similar, like, one shots of, like, one character pieces that I kind of did mainly because I wanted stuff for smaller prints that weren't eating into, like, the bigger print stuff that I spend way more time on. But I would still sell them in, like, the bigger size, and some people really love them, and I haven't done them in about a year. Cool, someone's dying. But
for the dear listener who has been around for a long time, you've heard many emergency response vehicles fly past our studio, past the open window. Mm-hmm. It's not just Winnipeg, but we're on the corridor. So it's not just that there's a murder happening every episode.
Yeah, sometimes there's a fire.
Yeah. Okay, one thing I was going to say is I was at, yesterday I had breakfast with a bunch of freelance writers, and we were talking about how, one of the facets of the conversation was, don't do it unless you're getting paid. Like, don't give your work away. And the argument that I was saying is, listen, if you only will work for money, then you will quickly be outpaced in your skill by people who will also do it for free.
Yes.
And so you have to find a place in your artistic practice where the stuff you would do anyway, you figured out who are the clients who want it. So that, like, the example I used was, I'm always making monsters, and those monsters usually have tentacles. Right? And so, I mean, it's silly, but it's super specific, right? Because it's really fun and freeing to create those shapes for me, right? Yeah. So what I've started doing is reaching out to horror film producers as conceptual design. Because now if I say, here's 5 things that I've done recently, they'll say, oh, great. Do you have something that's a little like this? I can look at my existing body of monster drawings and say, actually, yes, this stuff I did just for fun. Here's 3 things that meet that. You can have these for your film for X dollars, right? It was stuff I was already doing for free and for fun, and I'm getting better at it. But if you only work for money and I work for fun, I'll always do more work than you. Yeah. 100%. And I'll always get better faster because I'm producing more work.
You're just doing more. Yeah, you're just always doing more, which means you get better. And that's.
So what are the things you guys do, even though you don't care whether you ever get paid for it?
I think drawing in general. Like, all of this is... I can't speak for everyone here, but I'd like to imagine that a lot of us would be drawing even if we weren't getting paid, you know, or, you know, you just enjoy it so much. I've personally always said, like, the convention grind can be really tough. Oof. And you guys know for sure. And I've, like, even personally, maybe even next year, cutting down on certain shows or smaller shows here and there, just because I miss the fact that I can't draw as much. And I've even, like, friends of mine who aren't in the convention scene are like, what? Like, but don't you do well, this and that? I'm like, yeah, but priorities for me are creating and making things. That's where I have fun.
Meaningful struggle, not just struggle.
Exactly.
Right?
That's just monetary struggle, really. Like, you hear a lot of artists who do like upwards of 40 shows, and they'll send proxies here and there, and I'm sure they do really well and they're great. But I personally like to be at every show I can be, because I can show appreciation to the people who buy stuff, but I also want to draw as much as possible.
Well, and those people that we know who are doing 40 shows or sending proxies and doing 100 shows are only producing 5 or 10 new pieces a year, because all they're doing is management.
Yeah, it usually comes down to like there needs to be somebody on the team who's not doing artwork, that's just arranging all the logistics of everything.
And again, if that's what you want.
Hey, go for it. Exactly. It's just for me personally, and it sounds like you guys as well. As much as possible, like I would rather work a minimum wage job and then do like a couple conventions here and there, be able to produce as much art as I want. And do that.
Well, and you're young too, so that body of work.
I feel old.
Right? We're all so ancient and haggard from just drawing all day. But what I was going to say is that body of work will always serve you as you move forward.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? And so the more you have, the more opportunities you have as a result of it. And that's the thing that a lot of artists forget, is they put their old portfolio away and never think of it again. But maybe we should learn from Justin here, is after 3 or 4 years, people have forgotten all your old work. So now it's new to them. And I mean, the movie industry figured this out.
Oh, for sure.
There's a cycle, right?
Yeah, there's a complete cycle, and you just remake it and remake it and remake it.
Yeah. I've been looking through old files, because I'm also digitally spring cleaning or fall cleaning, and seeing like old prints and stuff that I've forgotten, or like work in progresses that I've forgotten, and things that I've liked about of those pieces that I just forgot. I'm like, man,
that you weren't ready to finish.
That's right.
What I
yeah.
thought too. You find it where you stalled on a piece, and then you find it 2 years later, like you say, in the digital spring cleaning. You're like, oh, I see how I can.
I can finish this now.
And I think a lot of it, like you were so attached to the original idea that you had, and then it was going in a different direction, and you couldn't distance yourself from that original idea, so you got stumped. Coming back later, you don't have that same attachment, so you're able to look at it objectively and finish it properly.
This is that evolutionary dead end. You're actually, there's proof for your thesis that if you let yourself be exposed to a lot of new stuff, then you'll have the answer. If you leave it. But if you just pushed and pushed, that art will get worse.
Do you guys notice too? As I go through the internet, I collect artwork that I like and designs that I like, and I have folders of all this artwork. When I look at artwork that I liked like 4 or 5 years ago, I'm like, why would I like this? I'm like, your tastes change so much.
Totally.
They're so garbage. I'm so much better than them now.
It's like, what inspiration was I getting? They're good, but it's just like, it's not what I want to be doing. It's not the direction I'm going anymore.
So I was organizing some of my. It's funny, we're all in that mode right now for whatever reason. I guess because shows are over and we're getting into making new work. I'm organizing all of this stuff, and I'm zoomed way out in my because when I'm collecting how I collect work that I like, I'm just like on my phone, on the way somewhere, and I take screenshots of it. So I end up with these huge folders full of screenshots. I was organizing them, and when I zoomed out, I realized that they were all in the same color palette. Like everything from the last like 3 months that I'd been like, ooh, that's cool. Ooh, that's cool. Ooh, that's cool. We're all blues and greens, or blue greens.
Nice.
And
it's funny, right behind Greg right now is green and blue.
Right. So completely obsessed. And I wonder if, but it's no wonder. That means that whatever color theory was going on to inspire all of those artists, right, is in a past cycle, and in the time it takes me to be influenced by their work, it's going to create a new cycle of that same color scheme. 100 other people who are making work in the same sort of space as me are all being influenced by that stuff. And it'd be really interesting in a future that's coming for some machine algorithm to actually be able to track that. This is too much data to look at now, but
it's coming.
Not for long.
It appears they're trying their best, as are we, for what it's worth.
Shaka, when the walls fell.
You're both in make work mode now. How does your cycle, your day, change, knowing that you don't have to run away in 5 days for an airplane?
Should I I don't know. Well, right now I'm not really in work mode. I'm in clean mode.
You're in cleaning mode?
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
It's clean. Oh, geez. It's a matter of organizing and cleaning everything out to make it more efficient for next year. Especially like you guys said, I keep making more stuff, and clothing takes up so much space.
Physical space.
So like my house is just filled everywhere, and I feel terrible because my mom is just working around my stuff. So I've like cleaned out our like sunroom, which has had a bunch of junk and everything, and just making it more efficient with shelving and everything. And that's been super fun. That's another like just love of mine, just interior design and architectural kind of things, and just kind of making things look pretty. Making
it just so. Yeah.
So all of that. But then in terms of when I get into a workspace, which I was still kind of doing, but I knew I had to kind of prioritize cleaning before I can prioritize drawing and creating again. It's just a matter of, I think it'd be like a couple hours or so on Instagram, for better or worse, in terms of like I mainly use Instagram to follow artists and like find new art and everything. So looking at that, seeing all that stuff, checking the list of maybe fandoms that I've been meaning to draw forever, working on those the ones that I really want to and just feel inspired to do at the moment. And then like the stuff I have the most fun with now is Clouded, my original stuff. So having like the ideas that I have and I've been writing down in my phone throughout the convention season, just that I can finally now work on. So it'd just be like days of that, and take a break whenever, but it's mainly like I'm gonna be home forever for the most part if I can. Like if friends ask to go out, then I'm like sure, I guess, but I can go out.
We go into our shut-in modes as the cold weather settles,
and I'm so excited for it.
Yeah,
to be
I know.
honest, personally,
I'm super excited. Yeah, to spend 2 months not going anywhere and just making things up.
Yeah, and you guys, how's the day-to-day go?
That's it.
Yeah.
It's you basically described what we're doing now. We've been tidying up the studio and organizing stuff and figuring out what to do with old stock. And one of the conversations I've been having with more people, and Justin and I having a little bit, is there a way to give away old stock in a way that's genuine and not like, hey, here's a bunch of old garbage, can you take it? But here's 50 prints that I really loved when I made them, but the marketplace didn't show up. Can we just give them away to people?
Sometimes on Sunday, what I'll do is I'll get a bunch of those prints that like I love doing, but nobody else
liked them.
It's unfortunate. Like people like them, but not enough to buy them. And that's, it's fine. Like sometimes you hit it and sometimes you miss that mark, and it happens. So I'll have like 20 or 30 of those prints, and I'll just pre-bag them all. So I'll have 30 pre-bagged prints, and then whatever the other people buy, that goes in there. You get a free, spaceship print, and here are your other prints in there.
We've been calling it a tangible thank you.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
On Sunday, like here's a thing, and people, they're surprised and a little bit overwhelmed that they got a free thing because everything it shows can feel like so expensive.
But now I'm like thinking maybe it just wasn't that time for that print, because now that I'm bringing all this retired work back and it's all selling, I'm like, why did I ever give anything away? I've had to sit on it for a year or two, and people will buy it then.
I know, but if you've seen our storage room, you should remind Justin that he should give some of it away.
Justin, give it all away.
Yeah.
Should we mention the new Vantage trick with old prints that might be a huge game changer?
From the simple standpoint of
Recycling.
sustainability and recycling, it is good. We print on heavy stock, right? So this doesn't
80
work.
to 100 pound cover weight.
Okay.
It's not glossy or anything like that. It's a satin finish, I believe.
Right. And that's important because the paper then is resilient. It has a lot of spring. And if you reload it into a printing machine, it does not jam or stick together.
Yeah.
So we just recently found out that this old stock that hasn't been selling, I can bring that back to the printer and they can print on the other side.
Oh, nice.
So a lot of my dead
so
prints
smart.
that didn't sell, like what am I going to do with this? I am now going to be bringing that back to the printer and printing newer stuff on the other side.
And then the idea being that, it's like a secret print or like they can pick but whatever reason.
It's also
so cool,
environmentally friendly.
It's a lot more environmentally good. Because, you end up, when you're making books or art, especially digitally where you're printing large numbers, you can have like so much waste, which is...
so much. And I feel terrible every time.
Yeah, I know. Every
so
time.
bad.
So we're trying to do, try to think about it in a small way to reduce
Climate change
waste.
is real, guys.
Yeah.
How are we doing for time there, Dan?
We can wrap it up.
We could wrap it up. We give it a little 5 minutes, 5 minute little try, a little round it out.
On that note, I had a great idea. On the weekend, I was talking to Nico, and we've both been approached by people.
Nico Rudolph, for the dear listener.
Who's working on a great new project. So you should go check it out and talk to him about it and bug him to finish it because he needs to finish it. NicoRudolph.com, maybe?
.com, I think.
Anyways, we've had people come up at shows, and I use plastic bags to bag my prints up. So it's a clear plastic, and it has my logo on it. And part of the reason I did that was I was constantly printing business cards, and I felt like I was just kind of throwing them away because people collect business cards, but they don't necessarily do anything with them. It's just something free to get at every table at a convention. So now I have these clear bags with my logo, and most people have clear bags at shows. There's a lot of plastic going around. And people have mentioned, like, have you ever thought about like doing something like not plastic, like maybe getting something more environmentally friendly for your stuff? And that got me thinking, like, paper as well. There are some great recycled paper options out there. So, but the problem is, like, we're small businesses.
Such quantities,
it's really expensive to be environmentally friendly. And be a small business. Like, your costs for bags, it's 4 times more expensive. For printing, I think it's the same thing. If you want to go an eco-friendly paper, you're looking at 4 times the cost. And when you're a smaller company, like, that's a lot of money when you add it up. But I want to try next year making a series of prints and printing on the most, like, economically friendly, like, solution that I can find.
Like eco-friendly printing.
And passing that cost on to the consumer. I'm going to do like a limited run. Like, if you want like super friendly stuff, it costs more for me, so it's going to cost more for you.
You want to save the world?
Try that out.
We could almost do help, like, tell us if we should change kind of thing. Right?
I want to see.
Or if you're willing to buy it at this price, I would change my entire stock over this. But if you're not, then I can't feed my children.
You can make, all the artists.
A couple bucks of every print goes towards.
That's the other thing you could do is, we could, I mean, if we're going to be high-minded about it here, sitting on this podcast, changing the world.
Yes.
We could take some of our revenue and donate it to a proper cause.
You're on top of this kind of stuff. What is a good group or charity, or is there like a...
The problem with, even if all charities have some kind of political leaning. So even if I name the ones I like, it immediately creates a conversation that is not the conversation I want. So what I would suggest is doing, like there's a company called Buffalo Exchange that sells vintage clothes, and for better or worse, however you think about how they run their business, one of the things they do is they don't give bags, and they charge you for not giving, like, you don't get a bag, and it still costs you 20 cents or whatever, and they donate the 20 cents they would have spent on a bag to a cause. And they have 5 different causes in these little, like, jars in front of their business, and they give you the token. And you put it in the one you think would be best. Like, more books at schools. More, food for the hungry, more whatever. You vote with the amount. They still charge you. Right? So as a business, they're not losing any of their revenue. But they're telling the consumer, like, no, you didn't get a bag, and this money, you can pick where we're going to spend it. Right? So we could do a thing like that, I suppose.
I got to look into it this year. Maybe I'll put it on my 2020 list. I'd like to find, because so much of my artwork has to do with robotics, I'd like to do like a robotic like limb augmentation, like a charity like that.
Well, it's funny you say that, because my new project, Automatic.
That'd be
Automatic
we should
Age,
both look into that.
The main character has prosthesis. That has 2 legs that are prosthetic, which is inspired by my father, who has a prosthetic limb also. So if you want to hook up for like how to help that whole segment of the community, I got you covered.
You got to do your research, right? Because, like you said, it's hard to find one that you trust that is going to properly use the funds, as sad as that is.
Yeah, it is sad. Well, this has been Super Pulp Science, where we have had a marvelous conversation with Edreen about all kinds of things that I did not expect to cover, but that's honestly where the best conversations happen. So thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, guys.
We're encouraging our listeners to join the fight and make comics.
And recycle.